Hello. Hey everyone, welcome you all to the second day of GitHub workshop. So today we'll be talking about what open source is, and today we'll be getting into how GitHub works and how you can push and pull all your changes into GitHub. So I welcome you all, and stay tuned with the CodeSprint as we are upcoming with the great content as um, open source and then development and coding and all other stuff. So I'll let you know about myself. I'm Sanika Patil and I'm an upcoming SD intern at Barclays. And so without doing any further delay, I think we should start it now. So before directly jumping into how GitHub works, I'll like you to introduce what open source is. So open source is a software with a source code that anyone can inspect and modify and enhance as it is written over here. And also the name suggests what open source is. So open source is basically you have put your code onto a hosting platform wherein you have all your files and any developer can come to your profile. He or she can visit that profile and that repository, particular repository, and she can inspect that and modify that code according to itself. Okay, so anyone can come and inspect that code, modify that code according to the development requirements, and this is called as open source basically as it is open for all developers. Now in yesterday's session I've introduced you a little bit about version control system, how version control system works, how open source softwares are there, and we have got a little bit more idea about how git and git commands works in that. So today it is all about GitHub. So GitHub is basically a website and a cloud-based service that helps developers to store and manage their code. Okay. As we have seen that Git is also one of the kind of services, or we can say as the tools that are provided by the developers that we can manage and track the changes that are happening in the repository, right? But in this GitHub, it is basically a cloud-based service wherein all your repository, all your code snippets are present over there and it get hosted on that platform. So basically it is a website. Now you'll be getting a question that what is the difference between Git and GitHub basically. As we can track changes using Git also and GitHub also. So what is the main difference between Git and GitHub is? So Git is basically a version control system, or we can say as a tool. But GitHub is a hosting platform, okay, wherein you can host your codes, wherein many of the developers can come and collaborate with each other for a particular product. As we have seen that Git is basically a service or a software that helps you to track and manage the changes, but it doesn't show which kind of the change that you have made in the repository, right? But GitHub provides that proficiency for you that you can track and you can see what changes in which line you have made the changes and what changes you have done on what point of time. Okay, so this is the main difference between Git and GitHub. So basically Git is basically a tool and GitHub is a cloud or a cloud-based service and a hosting platform. Okay. So as we have studied Git and we came to know that we can track and manage the changes. But the question arises that why does GitHub is required? So these are the points that I will be covering. So developers all across the world need a web or a cloud-based hosting platform. Okay, they need to showcase their projects to the world, to many developers, so that developers can come and collaborate with them to build various different products, right? So GitHub provides that thing for them, for developers, so that they can host their projects on that website. Then GitHub is also a version control system, but it is more of a hosting platform. Then next thing is it enables effective collaboration. As we know that developing any of the product is not the work of a single developer. It needs a group of developers that are working on the same point of time on that product, and that's how the product is get built. But the situation is that if all the developers are working on the same repository, that means they have to manage and track their individual changes on their individual profiles. This can lead to a merge conflicts. As many of the developers are collaborating at the same point of time, that means there can be a chances of happening merge conflicts. Merge conflicts means what? If I'm doing changes in the particular file, and another developer comes and he does the same changes in that particular line of the code, okay? So this can causes merge conflicts. GitHub doesn't know that which kind of code that it has to accept. So that time it is not able, we are not able to merge the particular code or the particular file in the GitHub. So that's how the issues can be resolved. So this is how it enables effective collaboration. A group of people, a group of developers can work on the similar project using GitHub. Then the next thing is download projects and file in one go. GitHub is provided with one of the options that you can download the zip file of the particular repository or the particular project, using which you can get the overall copy of the files or the repository that is uploaded on the GitHub. And the next thing is the easy evaluation of each other's work. You can easily visit any of the GitHub profile. You can work on the code. You can easily evaluate the code that has been pushed or merged in the particular GitHub profile. Okay. So this is how GitHub works. I hope you have got an basic idea of how GitHub works and what GitHub is. So I think we shouldn't waste any time in knowing about GitHub in the theory. I think we should move on to the demo. So before getting into what GitHub is and how it works, let us visit github.com. And before starting, you will have to make sure that you have signed it up and you have account on GitHub. Just a minute, let me take some of the comments. Cool. Okay. So now let us. I have received one of the comment that GitHub and Git are both are same. So why Git is used in companies? Also GitHub are same, better graphically format. Ajay, GitHub and Git are not same. Basically, Git is a tool wherein you can manage and track those changes, but you can't see the overall project or the the code snippets or the line of code that you have changed. But on GitHub, as it is the hosting platform, you can easily check the history of the lines that you have changed, and it is easy for other developers too that what kind of the change you have made in that particular repository. I have answered your question. If you have any more questions, just keep it in the chat box. I'll answer it later. Okay. So moving further, so this is the particular interface that you could see on the screen as I have opened up my GitHub account. I'll wait for you to open up your GitHub if you don't have already. So make sure that you'll sign in on the GitHub platform, and this is how the interface of the GitHub looks like. Okay. Now, here you can see various icons are provided over here. You have to just click over here and visit to your profile. Okay. So this is how the GitHub profile looks like. I have added the readme.md file over here, and I have made some of the changes in my profile. So you can make it later, but this is how the professional GitHub profile can look like. Okay. So as you can see over here, the green boxes are present and they are basically the history of the changes that you have made or the contributions that you have made since the year. Okay, so this is the year wise contribution data that you can see over here. The green boxes are basically the history of your contributions. Okay, nice. So as you can see, here it is a search bar given to you. Second one is the pull request option, issues, code spaces and all. I'll be explaining all these parts afterwards, because first let me get you all folks familiar with what GitHub is and how GitHub works. Okay. So this is how the proper interface or the homepage of your GitHub looks like. Cool. I'll just refresh it once so that you can see it properly. Okay. So this is the repository option that is available over here. Click on the repository and here you can get the overall data or the history of the repository that you have contributed to. Okay. Now, the next thing. As we have seen in the earlier session, the repository is the collection of the files or the collection of the code snippets that you are having in your project or you want to make the changes in. So repository is basically the collection of files or the folder. Similarly, here you can see the repositories have been made. I'll be showing how you can make the first repository. So first you have to click on this addition icon. Here you can see the new repository and the new project, two options. Okay. So new repository means what? You can clone it to a Git, and project means what? You are doing it for the collaboration kind of purpose, and there are many developers who can collaborate with you for the project, right? So I'll be creating one of the new repository for you. Just follow the steps with me. I hope you'll understand it in a more better way. So I think we are on the repository, right? So create new repository. What steps did I follow? I have clicked on this plus icon, and from here I have clicked on the new repository. And from here you'll have to put the repository name. Suppose I'll be putting it open source. Okay. So this is the repository name that I have mentioned. Then next thing that is provided to you is public or private. So these are basically the access specifiers that you want to make this repository as public or as a private. What are the advantages of making it as a public? People can, if people are visiting to your profile, they can be able to see what are the repositories and what kind of languages you are there working on, which languages and what kind of development projects that you have worked on till now. So this is basically the advantage of public, that developers can visit to your profile and can see what contributions you have done in various kind of domains. Next thing is private. Private allows you to keep that repository just for accessing on a personal level. Okay. So this repository is maintained on the personal level. The other developers who are visiting on your profile are not able to see what kind of changes that you are doing in this private repository. Nice. Next thing is a readme.md file. So readme file is what? Basically, if any of the developers come to your profile and you have made some of the any kind of, suppose, development project, web development project, and you have developed a solution on particular problem statements. For example, you have developed a website on NGO. Okay. So how a developer will know that the particular website is related to that NGO? So you have to mention some of the points for letting that developer know that this particular website belongs to that particular NGO. Okay. So you have to add that information in this README file, so that whoever and whomsoever is coming to your profile, visiting to your profile, must know that the particular project belongs to the particular problem statements. And the README MD file can cover anything, like it can show the information. You can add links over there. You can add files in that README file, or the links of the file in that README file. So this is how README file is there for contributions, so that other developers who are visiting must know that what kind of project you are working on, and it provides more information about your project. So adding a README file in your project is a very good practice, because whomsoever is visiting might get know about that project. Okay. Next things are get ignore. Suppose you don't want to showcase a particular folder in your repository, so you can add this get.ignore that it will ignore those folders or those files. Next thing is license. There are various license provided over here. I think we shouldn't go much deep in this, but MIT license is one of the most used license that developers use in their development journey. Okay, so this is how what we have done till now. We have clicked on this plus icon, then we have hovered on this new repository, and then we have given the name for this repository, suppose open source. Then we have to mention what kind of access do we want this repository. Do we want it to be public or do we want it to be a private repository? Next thing is adding a readme file. It is such a good practice, folks. So it's up to you. If you want to add readme file, that's totally up to you. And just simply click on create repository. So as you can see in your profile, one of the repository might get added. So here in the readme file, the topmost heading is the repository name. Suppose if you want to edit readme file, you can edit it from this icon, right? You can click it and you can just type it that day 2 of open source. Day 2 of open source. Cool. I'll just do it and I'll commit it from here. Committing is also covered in the last session, as I have told what commit is and how changes has been done after committing the file. Cool. Till now we have covered how you can create a new repository and from where you can access it and how you can add the readme file and what access you want to provide for your repository. I'll just give you a quick introduction of whatever is available over here. So as you can see, if you click on this code, you'll be getting the particular link over here, which is the repository link. As I've said you before in this session that if you want to share your project with someone, so this is the link that you have to share with them to showcase whatever contribution you have done till now in that particular repository. Fine. And as I've covered particular point that you can download a particular project, so here it is provided that you can download zip file for your particular repository. So the files that are added in this repository can be downloaded in that format, and they will be available in the zip format on your local machine. Now as you can see here, main is provided. Branching is basically the you know basically if you are working on a project, it is basically a working tree, and the root node of that thing is the main branch or the master branch, right? So it allows you to work on various features. As I have said, if you are working on a particular NGO website, and this is not the case that only one single user will be doing that. If a group of developers are working on the NGO website, then suppose I have given a task to display the nav bar, and another developer got a task to develop a footer of that website, right? So how these two changes have been made, and they have to be there on their different branches. Okay, so branch allows you to do that you have to add the different features in the main project, right? So what you can do is you can create a new branch for adding the new feature on your website. How you can do that? First, click on this main branch and then type the branch name you want to have. Suppose I'll have navbar added to my website, so I'll just give navbar as the name of my branch, and I just click on this create branch, right? So as you can see, the branch has been changed over here now, and we are on the navbar branch, and we'll be doing some changes in the navbar branch, and we'll be looking if those changes have been reflected in the master branch or not, right? Cool. Now I'll be doing some of the changes in the readme file, showing that this is the navbar branch. Okay, this is the navbar branch. I have done some changes. Here you can see that the particular snippet has been added for the committing changes. One thing I'd like to share over here, if you are going for a professional contributions, then you should add some of the lines that which kind of a changes and that you have done in this file. Okay, so I'll say over here that I have added navbar. Okay, I've added navbar. So that's how I've added some of the lines to make sure that it will give more information about my commit. Next thing is here you can see two options are provided. First thing is commit directly to the navbar branch and second one is create new branch. So if you don't want to create new branch from here itself, the last option which I have shown you, here also you can create a new branch and onwards you can here onwards you can also push your changes from this another branch, but I'll go with the navbar branch as I have already created it. So I'll just commit the changes. So as you can see over here, I have added that day to open source and this is the navbar branch, right? Now let us shift to the main branch and let's see if those changes have been reflected here or not. So as you can see here, it is not reflected that day 2 of open source and this is the navbar branch. No, it is not reflected, right? So what we have to do is we have to merge those two branches. This is the last step of your project. When many of the developers are working on the similar project, they are creating different branches according to the features they are adding in that project. So for one particular feature, there is a one different branch. It is all up to you if you want branching according to a different user or different features that you are adding to your project. So as you can see here, the number of contributors are also mentioned. Here you will get the history of what you have updated. So I could see here updated the readme.md file. Here it is mentioned the last commit is 5 minutes ago. So what GitHub does is GitHub takes the snapshot of the particular commit at what point of a time you have done it and what kind of changes that you have done. So if I click on this is a particular hash code, and if you click on that, it will show you what kind of a changes that you have been done in this particular repository or a particular file. So as you can see here, it got added that day 2 of open source after uploading the readme.md file. So this wasn't done before, right? So here is how GitHub shows you that what changes you have done and at what point of time that you have been done these changes and on which branch. Nice. So let us get back to the previous code that what we have done. Now, as you can get the count that two branches that we have created, one of them is the navbar branch and other one is the main branch, right? So as you could see, the change that we have done in the navbar branch, which was this is the navbar branch, is not been reflected in this main branch, right? So what we have to do now? We have to merge it. For merging, there is one of the professional way of merging these two branches, and that is the pull request. What pull request is? Suppose I have done some of the changes in that particular repository or a particular website code, and I have to merge that code with the main branch. That means the main project. I have to fix that change, fix that the problem that I have solved, and I have to push that code to the main branch. So pull request gives you that provision to add your code to the one branch to the another branch. In the previous session, as we have discussed about Git, the main branch and the dev branch, as I have discussed in the previous session, I guess, the merge command was there. You have to select one of the branch, then you have to add the merge command, and then you have to do what merging of those two branches, so that the changes that have been done in the dev branch has been reflected in the main branch. Cool. So now what we'll be doing is we'll be adding those two branches, and here you can see it is the navbar branch in the main branch. So what we have to do, we have to go to the pull requests. From here, I'll add new pull request in that. Here from here, what you have done base branch as a main branch, and the changes that you have done is on the navbar branch, right? So GitHub shows you what kind of changes that you have done, how many commits that you have been followed to do that changes, and how many files that you have been changed till now. So here, as you can see, this is the plus sign, that is the add-ons that you have committed in the changes that you have done in the files. Okay. So this is the navbar branch. This is the change, and we want to push this change to the main branch, right? So how you can do that? You can do this by creating a pull request. Any developer who wants his or her code to be added in the main project, he has to follow this path. He has to create a pull request. Then the maintainer of that project will evaluate that the particular change that the developer has been done is uh, is correct or not, or is giving some value for the project or not. Okay. So this is how you have to follow up the things. Then click on the create pull request. Again, as you can see, when the pull request has been opened, you can see the base branch. The base branch is the one you want to add the changes in, and the compare branch is the one you want to compare the changes in, and the compare branch is the one that in which we have added the changes, and the base branch is the one which you want to add the changes in that. So basically, I've added new navbar. This is the command. Sorry, this is the commit that I have been mentioning over here, and this is the particular snippet that you have to follow. But I'll be showing you how you can create a particular professional pull request in the later session. In tomorrow's session, we'll be doing that. How you can create a professional pull request, and for open source contributions, what changes that you have been doing, and what kind of a contribution history that you have to mention in your pull request. So for sake of just for as a beginning of that pull request, I'll be showing you this thing. But you shouldn't go for this if you are going for a professional open source contributions. Okay. So yeah, I have added navbar, and I'll not be adding any of the comments in that, and I'll just hit create pull request. As you can see over here, the interface is showing that you have updated readme.md from where, from the main, from navbar to the main branch. Okay. What changes you are doing from? You are doing from navbar to the main branch. How many commits you have done? You have done one commit. How many files have you changed? You have changed just one file, right? Nice. This is the conversation section. It is provided for the professional conversations at the time of development process. If maintainer is not satisfied with the changes that I have done in that repository, he'll just say that I can't add your changes, and those are not adding value to my project. So you should evaluate it once, and you should add these or these changes to the this file, and that again you'll show the pull request over that. So as you can see here, require approval from specific reviewers before merging. You can do it if you are a maintainer of your repository. Then the next thing is here, as you could see that this branch has no conflicts. As I've mentioned, many of the developers are working on the similar project. So there can be the chances of getting merge conflicts in that project, as two or three developers can change the similar lines two or three times. So at that time, GitHub can't predict which change is good for the project and which change can't be added in that. So at that time, maintainer has to look into it, which kind of change he has to solve the merge conflict, and according to that, he'll be adding the particular change in that of a particular developer. So as I'm just a one developer working on this project, so there are not no any chances of getting merge conflicts in that project. Okay, so I'll just hit leaving a comment that pull request accepted, and every time if you're working as a maintainer also, right, you have to add some of the comments for letting that developer know that the particular branch has the particular commit has been accepted, and this particular pull request is sufficient enough to add these changes into the particular project. So I have added this, and I'll just hit merge pull request and I'll confirm it as a merge request. So I can see here the pull request is merged and it got closed. Okay. Now in the code, if we go on the main branch, here you can see that this change has been reflected as we have merged these two branches in the main branch, right? So previously what was there? This is navbar branch. This statement was only for the navbar branch. It wasn't reflected in the main branch. But at this point of time, when we have created the pull request, you can see here, and after merging that, you'll be getting this statement in the main branch as well, right? So this is the practice you should follow while doing any kind of a development project. You should go with the professionalism and you should follow these steps for creating pull request. I'll once again revise what we have done till now. We have done this, we have hit this plus icon, then we have created new repository. After new repository, this was the repository that I have created, right? After that, we got into the branching, that how you can create a new branch, what kind of names and for what purpose the branching is being used. Next thing is, after adding the branches, if you shift to the next branch and you want to add the changes in that particular branch, then how this is how you can edit the readme file, you can do changes in this file. From here you can create new file and you can upload files from your local machine. So these are the some of the things that you must know while learning GitHub for the first time. I think this is sufficient for you to work on a particular project and making it open source. So after navbar, after creating a new branch, that is navbar, we learned how you can create pull request, what changes have been reflected in that pull request, and how you should commit those changes while creating it. Nice. Then the second thing that we covered is how you can add those changes in the main branch. That you have to reflect those changes in the main branch, which is the default branch of your uh, project, and this is how you can do it. So I hope the thing is clear to you, that how you can add various different branches to your project, how you can maintain the merge conflicts in your project. And again, the thing is, if you want to work in a team for a particular project, then this is how you should follow the steps. If you want to add some features and if you want to do any changes, then branching helps you to do that. Okay. The next thing is issues. Basically, issues are the things that you have to look into while doing open source contributions. So issues provide you what? Issues are the things, if you're a particular developer and you found an issue in my NGO website, that my NGO navbar isn't working good, or the drop down that is provided isn't working well. What you can do is you can create an issue from here. You can hit the issue bar. You can just go on the new issue, and from here I'll just say that the drop down isn't drop down issue. Okay, drop down issue. And then from here I'll write the proper issue, that whatever the changes I will be doing in that issue, or what kind of issue I'll be getting after opening that drop down. So if the color is not working well, if the link is not opening, the browser is getting some errors after hitting that link, so there are many kind of issue you'll be getting in the drop down. So I'll mention all over that in this comment. Okay. And after that I'll click on the submit issue. After submitting, here you'll be seeing that the description that is provided by you, that this the issue is not working well, the drop down isn't working well. So here it is, the description provided, and the issue that is being opened by the developer, I can see it over here. If I want to assign this issue for that developer, I'll just go over here and I'll go to the assignees, right? Now, I think it is getting you more in a deep level, but I think you should know if you are a maintainer for the particular project. And this is how you should assign issue for the developers that are working on your particular project. Okay, so this is how the assignees are there. Option is available on the GitHub, and you should write the developer name whom you want to assign this issue to. And here you can see I have assigned this issue to Sanika. It is reflected over here that this issue has been assigned to the self, that is Sanika, right? Here is the label option available. If you are working on a bug, as you could see, I have found out that drop down is not working well. So it is basically a bug kind of issue, right? So I'll just provide it a tag with bug. After that, what I'll do is I'll just solve that issue in a particular time span. I'll again in the next session we'll be looking at how you can write a professional template for a issue that maintainer should know that which kind of a changes that you are going to do in that particular thing, okay, in the particular file. And then you also have to mention some of the things while creating an issue. So this is how you have to add the tags for your issues. Also maintainer can do this thing for you, and this is also for the maintainers who want to assign different issues for different developers to work on their projects. After that, if you solve the particular issue for a given time of span that you have provided by the maintainer, you can comment on that this issue has been resolved, and after committing this you can just close it with the comment. Okay, so I've just closed that issue with the comment, and this is how you can work on your project, right? So I think things are clear for you now. Tomorrow we'll be seeing how you can pick up one of the project from the available repositories on the various platform. Then we'll be writing some of the code, and you'll be having your, if you're a beginner, then you'll be having your first open source contribution day after tomorrow. I'll be showing some of the different ways of how you can contribute in the open source using various different platforms such as Visual Studio Code and GitHub Desktop. And day after tomorrow, we'll be again coming back to the GitHub, that how you can create issues, how you can write professional pull requests, and how you can pick up different projects that are available on various platforms. So also I've created one of the example repository, or the the working repository for you folks to, wherein you can have your first contribution. I'll be guiding how you can have your first contribution in my project. So we'll be doing in the further sessions. Till now, if you have any doubts in the today's session, you can just let me know in the comments. I'll be answering your questions from now onwards. How can I actually start contributing to some of the projects? And many of them, they'll start contributing small, but it is bit more confusing after cloning the repository. Akshay, I'll be showing you the perfect workflow and the perfect flow of how you can contribute to a particular open source project. Just stay tuned with me, because the agenda of the days of this workshop has been decided previously by myself. So today it is all about GitHub, and it is basic the workflow that you have to follow for a individual project I have shown you over here. But if you are a beginner, that is perfectly fine, Vikash. But if you're a beginner, that is perfectly fine. These are the steps that I have shown you. I have repeated it for twice and thrice times. So you can just replay this video and you can watch it again in your leisure time. And after that, still if you are having any doubt, just connect to me on different platforms, and you can just ask me over there. So I think this was all from my side for the today's workshop. I think I have answered of your queries that are there in the live chat. So yeah, this is how you are done with your first repository. And here you can see that as I have done some of the changes in today, so it has got reflected in that I have done 7 contributions on Tuesday, February 28, 2023. Okay. Here also it has mentioned that open source, 4 commits, created 1 repository. So here you can see GitHub provides you all the history of the commits that you have been done till now. Cool. So I think we should wrap up now this session. And thank you for staying with me till the last moment. And I hope this session has helped you to make your first repository on your account. And if you want to set up the profile, just let me know. I'll help you setting up your profile, the GitHub profile that I have been mentioned in my profile as well. And yes, you can connect me on Twitter. The username is given in this slide, as you can see. And don't forget to follow CodeSprint, as the exciting sessions are being coming in the upcoming days. Okay, so tomorrow we'll be having the session on how you can do changes using Visual Studio Code plus GitHub and GitHub Desktop plus GitHub. So these are the two ways I'll be showing you in tomorrow's session, and day after tomorrow you'll be having your first contribution if you are a beginner. So I'll be doing it with you simultaneously. So stay tuned for that, and stay healthy. Goodbye.